Hi mates! Today we'll find out which marksman hero deals the highest damage of them all. I really didn't expect these results and I promise you, you'll be surprised which hero ends up on top. Let's start to define what the highest damage means. In these situations we'll investigate which marksman hero has the highest damage per second, or DPS. We can use the training camp and test the damage on the damage bot, since it shows you this data. To keep the comparison as trustworthy as possible, we need to set up some rules. I'll test each marksman damage for exactly 10 seconds. Within this time I just go full power to make sure his DPS is as high as possible. So to test the damage, I will use a level 15 hero with 6 offensive items that I will pick on the certain hero. We also use the power potion to get the maximum amount of damage. I will only use 2 different emblem setups from the marksman emblems, which are level 60 in my case. When picking a marksman that benefits from critical chance, I use the marksman emblem with points in physical attack, critical damage and increased damage from equipment. When using a hero that don't need critical damage, I pick the emblems with points in physical attack, attack speed and increased damage from equipment. When testing, we can't use the Demon Hunter Sword, since it deals damage based on the total HP of the target. Since the bot has way too many HP, this item provides an unreliable result. I also won't test Carry, since her passive works similar, and Claude because he is really weak without the Demon Hunter Sword. The Malefic Roar will also be left out of the builds, since this item removes a percentage of defense. Since the bot we tested on has no defense, this item doesn't add anything, except physical attack. With that being said, let's start right away to find out which hero deals the most amount of damage. The first hero we'll test is Beatrix. Since she doesn't benefit from critical chance, we need to take out the second emblem set. I've used the following items to test her damage. Because this gun is the most used and easiest one, we'll pick this one to test her amount of damage. So after the 10 seconds, she has a DPS of 5.6k, which isn't bad. I normally don't buy boots when playing Beatrix, which can further increase her DPS. Because she's the first one we test, she's both the best and the worst marksman at the moment. Next we have Brody. In this build, he doesn't benefit that much from critical hits, so we use the second emblem set. I have to say, I really suck at playing this hero, but we'll test him anyway. Within 10 seconds he has a DPS of around 3.4k, which isn't that high. Brody doesn't have a really high DPS, but his skills can hit multiple heroes and he has a stun skill. So while he isn't a hero with really high DPS, he might be a decent marksman to add some CC. With his DPS, he comes below Beatrix. Next, we have Bruno. He gets extra critical chance when dealing skill damage, and his first skill increases his basic attack damage. This gives him a good chance of a high DPS. After 10 seconds, his DPS is 4.6k, which is decent. Note that you can have 2 balls when timing skill 1 right. I didn't start with the 2 balls, but this happened after like 7 seconds. With this being said, Bruno has taken the second spot with his DPS. Next up, Granger. Granger has his first skill that really helps to deal lots of damage. With this build, he benefits from critical hits, so we choose the first emblems. After 10 seconds, we have almost 6.6k DPS, which is just insane. This can wipe out a squishy hero in 1 second. You have to keep in mind that his DPS is calculated on hitting all of his bullets from skill 1, which is easier said than done. Nevertheless, we have a new number 1 in our list of highest DPS. The next hero is Hanabi. She mainly deals damage with her basic attack. Therefore, we choose a crit build and emblem set to maximize her damage. We have 4.2k DPS after 10 seconds. This isn't that high compared to our other heroes, but Hanabi's basic attack has a bounce effect, which can effectively increase your DPS a lot when there are more enemies around. We test this on only one hero, which makes your DPS rank her as the 4th hero. Then we have Irithel, which is currently one of my favorite marksman heroes. She recently had a revamp, and let's see how this changed her damage. So almost 5.3k DPS, which is quite good in my opinion. Irithel has a decent mobility and more importantly, her basic attack can hit multiple targets when her ultimate is active. So this 5.3k DPS can be doubled or tripled when more enemies are close together. With her single target ranking, she gets placed at the 3rd spot, which isn't bad. Learning about the mechanics of heroes from Mobile Legends has a positive impact on your overall gameplay. The more you know, the better you're prepared. This also applies in real life, and that's why I'm always trying to keep learning and obtaining new information. A great tool for this is Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of inspiring classes for anyone who loves learning and wants to explore their creativity and learn new skills. Invest in yourself and your personal growth. I've been using the platform for a while and it's filled with interesting courses that help you to develop skills. The first class I've been taking is called How to Edit Videos with HitFilm Express for Beginners by James Wu. HitFilm Express is the video editing software I use for this YouTube channel. I've been using it for 2 years, but didn't spend a lot of time learning about the functionalities. To just go over the basics has taught me about some few handy features to not only improve the quality of my videos, but also increase my efficiency. And this is just one of the many available courses. Have a specific skill you're trying to learn? Skillshare is the perfect place to start. From photography and illustration to graphic design, freelancing and more, you can find classes that will match your goals and interests. I have another few courses that I want to follow to improve my skills for my day-to-day job, like courses about Microsoft Excel and Power BI. The only thing I miss is time. But if you search for time management, you've got more than 1,000 results. If you also want to discover new skills, you can join today. The first 1,000 people to use the link will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. You'll find the link in the description. If we get back to our Mobile Legends list, we'll find Kimmy next. This marksman needs to be built with magic power, so I've chosen the custom magic emblems with points that get the most amount of extra magic power and the 10% discount. After the 10 seconds, her DPS shows an average of 4.8k, which is also not bad. Kimmy can also hit multiple targets with her first skill active, so her DPS can increase when more enemies stay next to each other. Kimmy is now on the 4th spot. After Kimmy, we have Layla. Her basic attack has a big range when her ultimate reaches level 3. She also deals a good amount of damage from a far distance. After 10 seconds, we have a bit over 6.2k DPS. Not bad, Layla. While Layla deals high damage from a far distance, she's really vulnerable from attacks from close combat, since she has no escape skill. But nevertheless, she ends at the 2nd spot, just below Granger. Another marksman with great range is Lesley. She has way better mobility than Layla, but is her damage just as high? With a bit over 5.6k DPS, Lesley's damage isn't that bad, but a bit lower than Layla. In most situations, a bit less damage and more mobility increases your chance of winning significantly. We can place Lesley at the 3rd spot of the 9 featured heroes already. The 10th hero is Melissa. She's the newest marksman and deals a good amount of damage. Let's see what she reaches in 10 seconds. A DPS of almost 5.4k, which really isn't that bad. With decent mobility and an ultimate that protects her, These are some great scores to have from the DPS test. We can place Melissa at the 6th spot, just below Irithel. Miya is the next hero we'll test. She has a short attack range, but can also hit multiple targets with her basic attack. Also her ultimate is quite strong, because she gets invisible for a few seconds, which helps her to escape to safety. And with a DPS of almost 7.7k, we have the new number 1. This is only on one target, but her DPS gets even higher when there are 2 or 3 enemies close to each other. We don't see Miya this often, but her DPS is just great when she managed to come close to the target. Natan is the next hero. His basic attack acts like a boomerang, which makes him hit multiple targets. Too bad this doesn't have any effect in her rankings. Almost 4.3k DPS in 10 seconds, which is okay. Also this hero should have some heroes close to each other to further increase his DPS. We can place him on the 10th spot, just above Hanabi. Only a few heroes left, and one of them is Popol and Kupa. Popol isn't alone, but has his dog Kupa. Will this help enough to increase his DPS and rank high on our list? A DPS of almost 5.7k isn't bad. Note that the damage test was with his ultimate on, so keep in mind that his DPS is lower when not using his ultimate. Still, this is a great DPS and it takes him to the 4th spot, just a bit above Lesley. Next, we have Wanwan. Normally, I don't buy boots when playing Wanwan, but for this comparison, we'll just buy boots to make it fair. Even without boots, Wanwan has a DPS of 5.6k after 10 seconds, which is really high. This can be even better when you switch boots for the Demon Hunter sword. Then we have only Yin Su-shin left. This hero deals critical damage whenever switching between ranged and melee basic attack. This can be quite powerful, but not in my hands. A DPS of almost 3.5k. I think this might be a bit higher in the right hands, but this DPS moves him towards the 15th spot, which is 1 spot higher than Brody. So the final result shows us which marksman has a high DPS and which marksman has lower DPS. The heroes with a high DPS don't have to be better than the ones with lower DPS. While Miya deals really high damage, she has a short attack range and therefore has to come close to unleash her power, which is quite dangerous for a marksman. Granger also deals a good amount of damage, but therefore he needs to hit all his bullets, which can be quite hard when matching up against real moving enemies. Layla has a long range and high DPS, but she gets wrecked when an enemy comes close. Like I tried to teach you, choosing the best hero won't increase your win rate, but choosing the right hero in the right moment will. It's really important to analyze your team and the enemy team, to carefully select a hero. This way you can counter certain heroes to increase your winning rate significantly. Please let me know your thoughts about this video and maybe share with me what I should test next. As always, thank you for watching and I'll be seeing you again in the next guide.